Born in the quiet city of Tacoma, Washington, on May 3, 1903, Bing emerged from a family of modest means but rich in heritage. His father was a bookkeeper, and his mother, Catherine Harrigan Crosby, managed a bustling household of 7 children. The family held strong Irish Catholic roots, a background that instilled in Bing a certain sense of discipline and, according to those who knew him, a deeply private nature. He wasn't born into the glitz and glamour of Hollywood. His beginnings were grounded, reflecting the ordinary American life he would later come to symbolize for so many. Even as a young boy, Harry Jr. displayed a captivating presence and a natural inclination towards performance. He was given the nickname Bing early on, reportedly for his love of a comic strip character named Bingville Bugle. The name stuck, perfectly suiting the easygoing, seemingly relaxed persona he would project throughout his life. While he might have appeared laid back, beneath that calm exterior lay a formidable drive and a keen intellect. He dabbled in various pursuits, including a brief stint studying law, but it was the call of music that truly captured his imagination. He taught himself to play the drums and had an innate, untrained but undeniably gifted voice. These formative years in Washington, far from the pressures of show business capitals, shaped a man who valued privacy and control amidst the public clamor. While he could charm a crowd effortlessly, Bing Crosby was, at his core, a reserved individual. He wasn't one for grand, emotional displays. His strength lay in his quiet confidence and his ability to convey deep emotion through subtle delivery. This inherent nature, this blend of easy charm and guarded privacy, of effortless talent and underlying discipline, would become the bedrock of his public image, and, as we will see, a key factor in the complex dynamics of his most famous professional relationship. Even then, in his early days, there was a sense that this was no ordinary performer, but a man destined for a connection with the American soul, laying the earliest groundwork for the patriotic icon he would eventually become. Bing Crosby's journey from a promising local talent to a national sensation was a fascinating evolution, marking a significant shift in the landscape of popular entertainment. He began his professional career as a drummer and occasional vocalist with a band in Spokane, Washington. His distinctive voice, even in those early days, had a natural, relaxed quality that stood out. By the mid-1920s, he had ventured to California, joining a vocal trio called the Rhythm Boys, who performed with Paul Whiteman's orchestra, one of the most popular bands in the country at the time. It was during this period that Crosby truly honed his singing style. The advent of electrical recording and improved microphones in the late 1920s allowed singers to move away from the need to belt out songs to be heard over the orchestra. This new technology enabled a more intimate, conversational style, the crooning that Bing Crosby would perfect and popularize. He could sing softly, intimately, conveying lyrics and emotion with a relaxed, almost conversational tone that captivated listeners. This was revolutionary. It felt personal, like he was singing directly to you. The Rhythm Boys gained popularity, but it was Bing Crosby's solo career that exploded in the early 1930s. He signed as a solo artist and quickly began churning out hit records. His voice, smooth as velvet and effortlessly swinging, dominated the airwaves. He quickly became the best-selling recording artist in the country, a title he would hold for many years, selling millions of records in an era when that was a staggering achievement. Radio further amplified his fame to unprecedented levels. The Bing Crosby Show, which began in the 1930s, was a national phenomenon. His relaxed, often self-deprecating humor and easy banter, combined with his unparalleled singing talent, made him a welcome guest in millions of American homes every week. He didn't just sing, he connected. He created a persona that was both aspirational, a huge star, and approachable, like your favorite neighbor who happened to have a golden voice. This laid the groundwork for the deep affection the American public would develop for him. The natural next step for a performer of his magnitude was Hollywood. Bing Crosby seamlessly transitioned to motion pictures in the early 1930s. He initially appeared in a series of musical comedies and shorts, quickly demonstrating that his charm and relaxed presence translated perfectly to the screen. He wasn't a method actor. His strength lay in his natural charisma and ability to portray likable, often musical characters that resonated with audiences. By the late 1930s, Bing Crosby was firmly established as a major Hollywood star, headlining his own films and commanding significant box office draw. He had successfully conquered music, radio, and film, a rare triple threat in entertainment. His public image was solidified. The easygoing, good-natured singer with a golden voice and a knack for light comedy. He was, already, a giant of American entertainment, a star of the highest magnitude. Even before his path fatefully crossed with a fast-rising comedian from the world of vaudeville and radio named Bob Hope in a series of films that would inadvertently highlight the vast differences between them. By the dawn of the 1940s, Bing Crosby wasn't just a star. He was a phenomenon, a cultural force. His records continued to dominate the charts. His radio show was a national institution, and his films were eagerly awaited by audiences. His image was one of effortless success, geniality, and undeniable talent. He embodied a certain comfortable, confident American spirit that resonated deeply. But it was during the crucible of World War II that Bing Crosby transcended mere stardom and became something far more profound. A national symbol, a voice of hope and comfort for a nation at war. As young men went off to fight on distant shores, leaving loved ones behind, Crosby's voice became a vital connection to home. His relaxed, familiar presence on the radio and in newsreels brought a sense of normalcy and reassurance in uncertain times. The song that would forever link him to this era and solidify his place as a war icon was White Christmas, released in 1942 as part of the film Holiday Inn. Crosby's recording captured the bittersweet longing for peace, home, and family that defined the wartime experience. For soldiers overseas, listening to White Christmas on crackling radios or V-discs was a deeply emotional experience, a direct link to everything they were fighting for. For families back home, it was a shared expression of yearning and hope. The song became immensely popular, not just as a holiday tune, but as an anthem of separation and the promise of reunion. Bing Crosby's delivery of that song wasn't just singing. It was providing solace, comfort, and a touchstone of shared national feeling. He was the sound of home. His dedication to supporting the troops extended far beyond hit records. Bing used his immense popularity and influence tirelessly. He participated in countless war bond drives, raising millions of dollars for the war effort. He hosted special radio programs specifically for the Armed Forces Radio Service, sending messages and entertainment directly to servicemen and women in every theater of war. His willingness to dedicate his time and talent to the cause earned him the deep respect and affection of the American public and military alike. He wasn't on the front lines with a rifle, but he was on the airwaves and the screens, providing essential moral support. He became, truly, the entertainer as patriot, a figure of unwavering national spirit. Further cementing his status as a respected performer, Bing won the Academy Award for Best Actor in 1944 for his portrayal of Father Chuck O'Malley in Going My Way. This Oscar proved he wasn't just a charming song and dance man. He was a serious actor, capable of delivering nuanced, heartfelt performances. This added another layer to his public image, a talented, versatile, and deeply human star who also happened to be the voice of comfort in wartime. It was against this backdrop of unparalleled success and national reverence that Bing Crosby embarked on what would become one of the most famous collaborations in cinematic history. In 1940, he teamed up with Bob Hope and Dorothy Lamour for Road to Singapore. Bing, the established superstar, and Hope, the rapidly ascending comedic force. The film was a smash hit, launching a series that would span over 2 decades and 7 films. Road to Zanzibar, Road to Morocco, Road to Utopia, Road to Rio, Road to Bali, and finally Road to Hong Kong. The formula was simple yet genius, a blend of exotic locales, musical numbers, romance, and, most importantly, groundbreaking, rapid-fire comedy driven by the dynamic between Bing and Bob. They riffed off each other, broke the fourth wall to address the audience directly, and injected a sense of spontaneous fun that audiences had rarely seen. Their chemistry on screen was undeniable. Electric, even. They seemed like the best of friends. Two guys having the time of their lives, bringing joy to the world. The press and public alike celebrated their perfect pairing, their apparent camaraderie becoming as famous as the films themselves. They were Bing and Bob, Hollywood's golden duo, the epitome of on-screen friendship. To fully understand the dynamics between Bing Crosby and Bob Hope, and the root of Bing's alleged animosity, it helps to look briefly at Bing's private life and the personality traits that shaped him off-screen. While his public image was one of genial relaxation, the man behind the curtain was, by many accounts, considerably more complex. Bing Crosby married his first wife, actress and singer Dixie Lee, in 1930. Their marriage lasted until her death in 1952 and produced 4 sons: Gary, twins Dennis and Philip, and Lindsay. While publicly, they appeared to be a happy, typical Hollywood family. Dixie struggled with alcoholism, which was reportedly a significant source of stress and pain for Bing, a deeply private man who disliked public displays of vulnerability or personal problems. This private burden likely reinforced his desire for control and order in his life and work, seeking stability amidst personal turmoil. Later in life, after Bing's death, his eldest son, Gary Crosby, published a controversial memoir titled Bing Crosby, Call Me Lucky, which painted a much darker picture of Bing's parenting style, alleging emotional and sometimes physical abuse, particularly when his sons struggled with their own issues later in life. While the book's claims were disputed by other family members, it added a layer of complexity and controversy to the public's perception of Bing, suggesting a private man who could be stern, demanding, and held rigid expectations, contrasting sharply with his laid-back public persona. After Dixie's death, Bing married actress Katharine Grant in 1957. She was significantly younger than him, and they had 3 more children: Harry, Mary Frances, and Nathaniel. This second marriage seemed, at least publicly, more stable and peaceful in his later years. These glimpses into his private life all point to a man who, despite his effortless public charm, valued discipline, control, and predictability. He was not one for chaos or unnecessary drama in his own life, and this preference directly spilled over into his professional environment. He wanted things done right and done efficiently, allowing him to retreat to his private world, his family, or his golf course as quickly as possible. This fundamental need for order and efficiency was on a direct collision course with the personality of his Road to co-star. The truth about why Bing Crosby utterly hated Bob Hope can be traced directly to the hours, days, and months they spent together, pretending to be the best of pals, while the cameras were rolling. The conflict stemmed from their completely opposite working styles and what they prioritized on set, creating a persistent, low-level friction that, over time, wore down any potential for genuine warmth and solidified into deep-seated disdain. The fundamental clash lay in their core approaches to their craft. Bing was, first and foremost, a man of efficiency and relaxed professionalism. By the time the road to movies began, he was a veteran performer with an almost effortless command of his talents. He arrived on set prepared, knew his material, hit his marks precisely, and delivered his performance with a natural charm and impeccable timing that required minimal fuss. Bing valued getting the job done right, but also, crucially, getting it done quickly. He saw little need for endless rehearsals or multiple takes unless absolutely necessary, trusting in the script as a solid framework that allowed for controlled improvisation, not unbridled chaos. His goal was to nail the scene, inject his unique blend of relaxed brilliance, and then be done for the day. preferably in time to indulge in his beloved golf or retreat to his private life. His professionalism was rooted in economy and smooth execution, a reflection of his own disciplined and private nature. Bob Hope, on the other hand, came from the relentless, high-energy worlds of vaudeville and radio, where the pursuit of the next laugh was paramount and constant performance was key on set. Hope was known for his inexhaustible need to add jokes, rewrite lines on the fly, and continuously punch up the script, often in the middle of a take. He would try different gags in multiple takes, seemingly unable to resist the urge to find a potentially funnier line, always searching for a bigger laugh. Sometimes, it seemed, for himself more than for the benefit of the scene as a whole. Hope thrived on a kind of manufactured spontaneity, but his improvisations were often calculated efforts to get a reaction, and his insistence on many takes to perfect a single comedic beat was a stark contrast to Bing's desire for swift efficiency. This fundamental difference created constant, simmering tension on the road to sets. Bing's calm efficiency clashed head-on with Bob's frantic joke hunting and persistent script tinkering. According to numerous accounts from those present, including cast members, crew, and biographers who interviewed them later, the set was often marked by a palpable, if often unspoken, battle of wills and working methods. Bing reportedly found Hope's continuous need to add jokes and improvise irritating and disruptive. Hope would sometimes talk over Bing's lines or add a tag to a joke that was meant for Bing, essentially stepping on his co-star's comedic moments in his relentless drive to get a laugh for himself. For a professional like Bing, who valued timing, precision, and mutual respect for each other's space in a scene, this lack of regard was not just annoying, it was deeply unprofessional and disrespectful. Biographer Richard Grudens noted that Hope's assistant Al Capstaff reportedly said that Hope was always trying to out-joke Bing and annoy him, suggesting a deliberate, if perhaps sometimes perceived as playful, antagonism from Hope that deeply grated on Bing's more reserved nature over time. The constant demand for multiple takes to try out different jokes was another major point of contention. Bing, who preferred efficiency and resented wasting time, reportedly hated this aspect of working with Hope. Stories from the set describe Bing visibly reacting with eye rolls, sighs, or standing with his arms crossed, looking palpably impatient as Hope labored over a line. He would sometimes make pointed comments about the length of the day or the number of takes needed, aimed squarely at Hope's time-consuming process. For a man who prioritized his privacy and leisure time, being stuck on set for hours because Hope was trying out yet another variation of a gag was reportedly maddening, fueling his irritation. As Bing himself was famously quoted, perhaps in a moment of exasperation that perfectly captured his feelings, "The only way to keep Bob from telling jokes is to nail his mouth shut," a line that, even if apocryphal, perfectly illustrates the depth of his frustration. Beyond the professional friction, their core personalities were fundamentally different, creating a personal distance that the public never saw. Bing was private, reserved, and enjoyed his quiet life away from the spotlight. Hope was gregarious, restless, and seemed to constantly need attention and validation, always on, even when the cameras weren't rolling. There was no genuine personal connection, no true friendship that developed outside of their professional obligation. They were simply two men with vastly different temperaments forced to collaborate for the sake of extremely profitable films, while Hope seemed to genuinely enjoy the dynamic and the success it brought. Bing's participation was reportedly motivated by pure professionalism, the immense financial rewards, and his contractual obligations to Paramount Pictures, rather than any real affection for his co-star. Perhaps the most significant and emotionally draining aspect for Bing was the constant burden of having to perform a close friendship with a man he found deeply irritating and whose working methods he disdained. For a private, authentic individual like Bing, this requirement to maintain a public facade of camaraderie with someone he didn't genuinely connect with and often found annoying, required a significant effort and likely bred a deep-seated resentment. While Hope seemed comfortable in this performative friendship, Bing reportedly was not. He was a professional doing a job, and that job required him to act like he adored his co-star, day in and day out, film after film. This constant performance of a non-existent warmth, according to those who observed it, solidified his quiet dislike into something approaching the utter hatred suggested by the title. The mystery solved lies not in a single dramatic event, but in the cumulative effect of these daily frictions, the constant clash of work ethics and personalities over 2 decades of collaboration. The reason for Bing's utter hatred wasn't a grand betrayal or a hidden secret from the past, but the simple, exhausting reality of working intensely for years with someone whose fundamental approach to his craft and on-set behavior he found antithetical to his own professional standards and personal preferences. It was the slow accumulation of annoyance, frustration, and a profound lack of genuine personal connection that solidified into a deep, quiet, and enduring disdain. The consequences of this hidden animosity weren't a public feud or the cancellation of the films, which were simply too successful for that. Instead, it created a profound and fascinating disconnect between the on-screen illusion and the off-screen reality. The world saw Bing and Bob as the best of pals, inseparable comedic partners. Bing Crosby, by most accounts, saw Bob Hope as a necessary, albeit irritating, colleague he had to tolerate to make a living and fulfill contractual obligations. The energy and chemistry of their on-screen performances were undeniable, a remarkable testament to their immense talent as performers, capable of creating comedic magic even when the personal relationship behind the cameras was frosty at best, and genuinely hateful, by some accounts, at worst. It forces us to recognize that the magic we see on film is a performance, a deliberate creation, and the relationships between the actors are not always, or even often, a simple reflection of their real-life feelings. The road to films were a triumph of collaboration, but the collaboration itself was, for one of its key players, reportedly a trying, irritating experience. After the final road to film, Bing Crosby continued his prolific career, though he appeared less frequently in movies, focusing instead on television specials and live performances, always maintaining his public image as a beloved, genial figure. His relationship with Bob Hope remained strictly professional. They would occasionally appear together for special events, performing their familiar routine, but the personal distance persisted until the end. Bing's life concluded abruptly but fittingly for a man who loved the sport. He died suddenly of a heart attack after a round of golf in Spain in 1977, at the age of 74. His passing was met with national mourning, honoring him as the voice that comforted a nation, a true American icon whose contributions to music and film were immeasurable. Bob Hope lived on for many more years, always speaking respectfully of their on-screen partnership. The legacy of Bing Crosby remains monumental, a testament to his talent and his unique role as a symbol of hope, especially during wartime. Yet, the revealed truth about his deep-seated dislike for Bob Hope adds a complex layer to his story. It underscores the profound difference between public persona and private reality, a common theme in Hollywood, but particularly striking given Crosby's wholesome image. The road to films live on as classics, brilliant comedy born from professional necessity. A reminder that sometimes the greatest performances of camaraderie are given by those who could barely stand each other behind the scenes. The mystery of Bing Crosby's hatred for Bob Hope is solved, revealing that even America's most comforting voice harbored a quiet, enduring disdain for his most famous co-star.